rape, murder, coronavirus. Is God in control? That's what I want to talk today. I want to talk to you about our emotions. I want to talk to you about perhaps what we should be saying when people are experiencing life events, traumatic events, pain, death, disease. What should we say to them? What emotions are acceptable to have? Right now, there's a big epidemic, a pandemic actually going around with coronavirus, and admittedly, a lot of people, Christians too, they're concerned. They're worried about, will it affect me? Will it affect people that I love? But let's drill even deeper. We can insert all kinds of troubles and difficulties here on planet Earth. Is God in control when someone has leukemia? Is God in control when someone has a child who has been sexually assaulted by an evil man? Is God in control when a loved one has been murdered? You see, I worry about that being our statement. Is God in control? You're darn right He is. But I think we should be careful about when we're trying to, how we try to help people. I think that in certain circumstances, if we're not careful, we pull out a line like, God is in control, so relax. That can be interpreted in a way that our hearts really didn't mean for it to be interpreted, especially, I would say, amongst atheists. I mean, imagine that. Here it is. You got a 10-year-old boy, I'm just throwing out some examples, and he's dying of leukemia. And let's say that a Christian walks up to this mom and dad and just says, hey, God is in control. You can't have fear and faith in the same place. Guys, I would say the heart intends well there, but boy, that would be the worst thing you would say to somebody. So why would it be different when we've got a disease, when we've got murder, when we've got rape? See, is God in control? Yes, but let me just say this. God has not promised to rescue us from worldly disease. He has not promised to rescue us from murder, from rape. Does He intervene sometimes? Yes. Listen, I think God is pretty clear. We live in a jacked up, broken, messed up world. One thing's for sure, we will all die. We are likely to get cancer, coronavirus. Most of us know someone who has been physically and violently and sexually assaulted. And what I don't want to say to them is God is in control. I mean, as an atheist out there, they're looking at you saying, okay, well, if God is in control, I don't want any of that. Good Lord, your God's letting people get coronavirus and get raped and murdered? Who wants that? Because these things happening and our fear and emotions, when we think they may happen to us, they do not negate our faith. But it may turn someone else away from the faith if that's our line. So what am I saying? I think the response really to people who are enduring hard times is not to say, hey, you need to remember God is in control. I think what they need to hear is, first of all, and most importantly, they need love. How can I help you? What can I do for you? I understand your child was just violently assaulted. I understand you are terrified that your child is going through leukemia. I understand that you're afraid when you walk out that door that you might be the next person diagnosed with coronavirus. Listen, the first response is love. It's not a hit them over the head with, hey, you need to remember God is in control. Because what we're saying is that your emotions are not okay. Right? And I know there are several Bible verses we could pull out to make this case, but I submit to you that a lot of these are not in their proper context, and I don't have time to cover them all right now. But I do want to say this, that emotions are okay. And it doesn't mean we don't believe God is in control. Listen, Jesus was going to the cross. And do you remember what he said? Jesus at one point was sweating blood. Now I'm going to say that's a result of some fear and a lot of anxiety, right? He begs God, and he is God, right? And he's begging God, let this cup pass from me, if there be any other way. Now look, I know in the end he said, but your will be done. And of course he did. But make no mistake, Jesus did not, his heart was, I don't want to have nails drilled through my hand and through my hands and through my feet. But I'll do it in order that planet Earth and those that call on my name will be saved. But I don't want to do it, Jesus would say. Hence sweating blood and saying, God, is there any other way? Let this cup pass from me. Peter was called the Rock, you know. He had some emotions as he walked out of that boat. And he began to doubt. Why? He was afraid that he would sink and drown in that violent ocean. These are normal emotions. But thanks be to God that, guess what? Faith the size of a mustard seed is all we need to be saved. As we read in the scriptures, I write these things that you may know. That you may know, right? We're supposed to know that we're good with God. Meaning, hey, your emotions are going to be all over the place. We are not called to measure our faith. To see, hey, if you doubt for a minute, you don't have enough faith and you can't have, somehow as if faith is negated when we are fearful, when we have anxiety. I know there's that verse that says we've been healed by his stripes. And yes, we have been healed by his stripes, but this is not a physical healing. This is a spiritual healing. Jesus was beaten on a cross. Those stripes that he endured on his back and his body healed us spiritually that we may have life forever. So, again, I want to be clear. I don't think anyone has malice when they are telling us that God is in control. But I feel like when that is our go-to line, timing is everything. We don't want to imply that God's like the puppeteer or the puppet master controlling everything that happens, because for unbelievers, we immediately say, well, I don't want that kind of God, because we know the result oftentimes is not what we would like. The result is oftentimes death and pain and sickness and all kinds of horrible things. God's promise is that I will be with you through it all. That doesn't mean you're going to have the great result. We can lean on Jesus. But our hope is not in what planet Earth has for us. Planet Earth will have, even with God in full control, planet Earth is going to beat us down. If you're looking for hope in planet Earth and overcoming disease and illness and financial problems, you are in a world of trouble. Our hope is in things unseen. It's not in this life, it's in what is to come. Make no mistake, I am not going to tell anyone, believer or unbeliever, that you will not endure all kinds of difficulties. And yes, this whole crazy stuff out there that God never gives us more than we can handle. I don't know who came up with that line of junk, but that is not the gospel. Listen, thank God I did not lose my children, but I can tell you right now, if I had lost one of my kids, that would be more than I can handle. That would have broke me down for a long, 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 long time. Don't tell me that God never gives us more than they can handle. I would never say that to someone who lost their child, because that is more than they can handle. But God's promises are not in this world. They're in what's unseen. And our hope isn't, let's say someone did lose their 10-year-old child. Our hope is in the unseen, that we will see them again, that they will be healed, and that there will be happiness and there will be joy. Whatever's horrible now, our hope is in the future, or it's in our afterlife, if you will. But for the time being, our emotions, they are all over the place. And if we rely on our emotions to be somehow a gauge of our faith, and somehow suggest that maybe we just don't believe enough in Jesus, that we don't trust God, I think we're in for a world of trouble. Jesus had a lot of emotions. God had a lot of emotions. And I'm not saying, I'm totally saying lean on God. But I'm saying let's just be careful with our message. God is in control, because left alone, that opens the door for all kinds of people, believer and unbeliever, to have different doubts. I want to tell people that God is with you, but I do also I think as Christians, we need to be very clear. There are no promises. We live in a jacked up world. Every one of us, believers and unbelievers, have free will. And boy, do some of us use that in the wrong way. Many people can and will be hurt as a result of free will. God is in control, but He is not taking control of our daily actions. We get to make choices now, don't we? We get to make a lot of choices. So for now, this world is messed up, and it ain't changing anytime soon until the Lord comes back and takes His people back. But for now, let's just get everyone, just love individuals, love people who are suffering, encourage them to lean on Jesus, and just remind them that our hope is not in this world. It is a rough world. That doesn't mean in any way that we're going to lead them to believe, hey, God won't come through for you. He might, but that's not His promise. I'm telling you, if that's the case, there's a lot of people, every believer has died or will die at one time or another. So it's just something to think about, guys. I think there's a lot of fear right now with this whole coronavirus running through, and I just hopefully I can encourage you to lean on Jesus, to trust Him, and look, don't let your emotions cause you to doubt your faith in Jesus. God bless you.